Imagine you're on your way to work, your hands on the wheel, and the engine light pops on. Just a minor warning, right? But you check your bank app and there's $42 until payday. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later, crank the radio, and drive on. That small later becomes a tow truck, missed shifts, and a $2,500 bill. Sound familiar? This video is not about hustle porn or do this and get rich quick. It's about the cold, brutal math that turns small problems into catastrophes if you don't have a buffer, and how to actually build one. You've heard of economies of scale. Buy bulk, pay less per unit. The inverse is the poverty premium. When you're broke, you pay more for the same things. Toilet paper is the classic micro example. $50 at a warehouse store versus $4 at the corner shop. Same product, wildly different unit price. Multiply that across diapers, detergent, food, and you're bleeding money on basics. But the poverty premium isn't only groceries, it's fees, interest, and time. Banks charge overdraft fees, payday lenders charge astronomical APRs. Predatory car loans inflate costs for buyers with poor credit. That's a system that taxes the poor simply for needing short-term access to cash. Terry Pratchett's Boots theory is a simple thought experiment that nails the math. The rich buy quality once, the poor buy cheap twice. Over the same time horizon, the poor often spend more. This applies to boots, sure, but also to tires, appliances, clothing, and even health. Replace a $50 durable item that lasts 10 years with $10 throwaway items you buy repeatedly for the same period, and the poor person ends up spending double. This applies to, so the moral isn't be frugal in a moralizing way. It's protect liquidity so you can buy quality once. That switch in thinking is huge. Let's walk through an example most people have lived, ignoring a $300 fix because you don't have cash and ending up with a $2,500 breakdown. That's not an outlier, it's systemic. Why does the cascade happen? Because you can't make the small preventive spend, which triggers repair escalation, which triggers lost wages, which triggers debt, and the math compounds. This is compounding in the wrong direction. That cascade is why emergency cash is not optional, it's survival insurance. One small buffer changes the expected value of every future risk. Let's talk about overdraft fees and payday loans. Systems built to monetize liquidity scarcity. If you overdrew $5 and got charged $35, that's a 700% APR equivalent for a day of borrowing. That's not a mistake, it's design. Data shows banks collect billions in overdraft and late fees, mostly from people with sub $1,000 balances. That's a transfer from the bottom to the top hidden as service. This extraction is not always obvious. It's baked into monthly fees, minimum purchase surcharges, high interest credit, and even utility reconnection charges. If you stack these microtaxes over months and years, they dwarf what could have been earned by small investments. Here's a shocker. Scarcity steals brain power. Research shows that chronic money stress reduces cognitive bandwidth and decision quality, the same effect as losing a night of sleep. So when someone takes a payday loan with 300 to 400% APR or buys fast food because it's simpler, it's not moral failure, it's cognitive triage. The mind prioritizes the immediate problem and sacrifices long-term optimization. That explains the clustering of bad choices in low-income settings. It's not ignorance, it's bandwidth scarcity. Let's put this in high resolution. Two buyers, one car need. The prepared buyer pays $20,000 cash or 4 to 5% financing for a reliable car. The unprepared buyer with bad credit pays $8,000 now, 24% APR, and maybe $15,000 over the loan life for a clunker that breaks sooner. The result? The poor buyer pays a risk premium for being deemed risky. The system charges you extra because you don't have the upfront capital to avoid it. This is literally the wealth gap coded into everyday transactions. Housing amplifies the boots math. Renters pay the full cost of housing without building equity. Owners need a down payment to access cheaper monthly costs. High rent consumes savings, preventing the purchase that would lower monthly costs. That's a trap. It's not that renting is always bad, sometimes it's rational. The problem is when structural rents and housing markets lock people into permanent cash flow disadvantage. Poverty steals time. If you need laundromats, you spend hours commuting, waiting, and doing laundry, hours you could use to earn, rest, or learn. If you don't own a car, grocery shopping takes longer and costs more. Time is a resource, and poverty taxes it heavily. Many studies show people who spend on time-saving services report higher life satisfaction, and paradoxically, buying back time can be one of the smartest investments for someone with limited money. Here's practical truth. The fastest, highest ROI play for someone struggling is building a small buffer. $500, then $1,000. That's it. Why? Because that buffer changes the probabilities. It turns catastrophes into inconveniences, prevents fee extraction, and lets you buy the right thing once. It's defense-first financial engineering. We'll get into how to build it in a minute. Spoiler, automation, radical line item surgery, and small strategic hustles are the most reliable tactics. Start thinking of purchases in terms of total cost of ownership and risk reduction. A $50 toaster you replace yearly costs more than a $150 toaster that lasts a decade. Focus on solving the root problem once rather than the cheap patch. This is not moralizing. It's arithmetic. When you buy quality that prevents repeated expenses, you're effectively investing at a guaranteed rate of return equal to the cost saved. Okay, here's a pragmatic tactical blueprint you can start this week. One emergency first, save $500. Sell one non-essential item, pick up a weekend gig, or redirect recurring subscriptions. Automate the transfer. 2, audit for poverty premiums. Where are you paying more? Food, monthly fees, car interest. Create a list and target the largest leak first. Audit for poverty premiums. Where are you paying more? Food, monthly fees, car interest. Create a list and target the largest leak first. Buy once, 4 time investments. Spend on services that buy back hours if the math works. Sometimes paying for a laundromat pickup or a grocery delivery is worth the time regained. 5, debt triage. Pay off high-interest debts, credit cards first. That is the highest guaranteed return you can get. There's a technique Stoics use called negative visualization. Imagine losing what you have for 10 minutes. It sounds grim, but it increases gratitude and reduces adaptation. In short, you enjoy what you have more. Combine that with ritualized savings, automatic transfers you never touch, and you're hacking both the emotional and the mechanical sides of the problem. People think arrival, a number in the bank, a new title will deliver permanent happiness, but research suggests progress is more reliable. The anticipation, the challenge, the small victories, that's where happiness lives. So, set goals that are meaningful and break them into milestones you can celebrate. That's how you get joy now, not in some hypothetical future. So, set goals that are meaningful and break them into milestones you can celebrate. That's how you get joy now, not in some hypothetical future. Yes, individuals can take steps, but systems matter. Overdraft fees, zoning, predatory lenders. These are policy problems. Community-level solutions, credit unions, community loans, shared childcare actually shift outcomes. If you can, connect with local resources, financial counseling, community banks, co-ops. Collective infrastructure reduces the poverty premium. Let me share a small win I've seen. A woman traded her daily $6 lunch for batch-cooked meals and sold 2 dozen unused clothes online, saving $600 in 3 months and building a $1,000 buffer within 6 months. Small, repeatable actions add up. Another example, a man swapped a high APR buy here, pay here car for public transit for 6 months, saved aggressively, and bought a certified used car with a warranty, a one-time step that eliminated recurring breakdown costs. Let's be honest, the poverty premium breeds shame. people hide their struggles, avoid asking for help, and internalize blame. That shame is part of the problem. It isolates, and isolation is expensive. Turn that anger into strategy. Let the unfair math make you pragmatic, not bitter. Use the facts to drive the plan. Here's the payoff. When you stop losing money to the poverty premium, you free up capital to invest. Over time, compound interest buys you time. Passive income replaces frantic labor. That's how resilience scales. The difference between someone stuck in cycles and someone who escapes is often a single intentional year of defense-first decisions. That year compounds into a lifetime advantage. If you want a quick checklist to pin to your fridge: 1. Save $500. 2. Automate transfers. 3. Audit for poverty premiums. 4. Stop buying disposable solutions. 5. Eliminate high-interest debt. 6. Buy time where it matters. This is not magic. It's methodical. I don't have time to do this. Then start with 10 minutes. List every recurring cost and ask why. I tried budgeting and it didn't work. Then automate your transfers so the budget happens without willpower. Small structuring wins beat willpower alone. This is unfair. Yes. Use that anger. Let the unfairness be the fuel, not an excuse to do nothing. If one thing matters from today, liquidity is power. Build the first $500, protect it, and then scale it. Turn the math against the system. You don't need inspiration. You need a plan and the discipline to execute it. If this resonated, do one radical thing this week. Either open a separate buffer account and automate $10 per paycheck, or sell one unused item and transfer the cash into that account. Start the process, not the perfection. Share this video with one person who's caught in the loop. Let's make this conversation normal. Subscribe for more tactical, compassionate financial tools. Like, not tricks, but strategy.